I have an appointment with my oncologist tomorrow. Nothing major, it's all super nice and easy, but do you remember I've had that CT scan a few weeks ago, and I just need to go and see him once for a port flush. I still have my chemotherapy access port in my shoulder here, and that needs to be flushed every so often. Last time I left it for way too long, but it's still operational just in case I need it again. And so I'm going to see him for that, and also for, I think, a little chat about the latest results of my CT scan. I could have chased that up literally weeks ago, but you know what life is. Life just gets in the way, and we assume everything is fine, so hence I didn't really bother checking in on that. But as soon as I have it, I want to make a video and show you the pictures of that CT scan. So I got a CD there, and it looks mesmerizing, kind of interesting. On the CD there's a program that you can run on the Mac or on Windows, and I can literally, it kind of buffers in the images, and then we can literally have a look at my insides. That's very cool. And you can, I suppose radiologists use it to then compare that section of your body from another angle and all that, and with contrast, without contrast. So it's all very exciting to see that, and it's just something you don't really get to see that every day. So I thought I'm going to share that with you, and it would be much more exciting if I had the official report that I can read out to you. See if that's see what it says. I'm excited about it. So I like dabbling in medical jargon. So yes, that's one thing. The other thing that I've been trying for the last few days, really unsuccessfully, is to get Mixamo animations work in DAZ Studio. So it's kind of funny that ever since I've made that dancing mouse video, that was very well received. I'm glad you guys liked it. That's good to hear. And it was a lot of work to make that happen, mainly because of the adjustments that it required. So the animation was of course not made for the mouse character, so hence his nose would go into the ground when he goes down, or when he takes his hands and kind of claps them together above his head, they kind of sink into his head a little bit. And so I had to do a lot of work on each single keyframe to make that look better and even out the worst parts of it. But that wasn't enough, so there's still so much work to do. I could have literally spent weeks on getting this, well, maybe not weeks, but certainly many hours on making that look even better. So feet often either dig into the ground or lift off from the ground, and that is something, that's not great, and that's a little ugly. But with patience you get there. It is possible to do that. But of course the core of it was literally open the mouse in DAZ Studio, export it as FBX and upload it to Mixamo, apply animation, download character, import the FBX you get from Mixamo into DAZ Studio, and that's essentially it. So there's one final step I had to do. Once the Mixamo FBX is imported in DAZ Studio, I then had to select that, hit edit, copy, whatever it said, and then paste that to the original mouse character, because the FBX you get from Mixamo does not include the smoothing modifiers or the kind of the things that make characters look handsome and smoothed over. They don't include that, but that's fine. You can just paste that into the original character, and then the whole animation is applied, and the smoothing modifiers are applied as well, and also the textures are retained. So that's a big plus. And with the mouse it worked perfectly fine, and I wonder if it's because that's an older character that is also not built on the current Genesis technology. So I've read many reports that many people have difficulties with Genesis 8 and Genesis 3. I've managed to bring a few Genesis 2 characters into Mixamo and back, so that works about 1 in 10 times, and it's completely random. It doesn't make any sense. There doesn't seem to be any kind of there's no pattern behind that. There's no, sometimes I would do this from my MacBook while I'm watching TV, usually Perry Mason, stuff like that. Very interesting stories that they've come up with. I'm thinking of opening another joke channel and explain Perry Mason stories. That's sometimes necessary. Just wrap it up in 5 minutes along the lines of, well, there's this guy and he's married, but he's also got a girlfriend, and there's these two people and they kind of want to blackmail him or her or both, I don't know. And then of course Perry steps in, and then Paul Drake goes, and this is why the other guy got killed, that sort of thing. And I don't know, because those stories are difficult to understand. Or maybe it's because I'm doing 3D stuff while I'm watching it. Perhaps I shouldn't be doing that. But anyway, so the thing with the Mixamo stuff is that only 1 in 10 times is this successful, and I really don't know why. So on my MacBook, for example, I can do it back and forth, export from DAZ Studio to Mixamo and back, and it works. I do that the same settings from a Windows computer, and it doesn't work. Oh dear, they've done some building work here, which requires me to go cross country. This is crazy. This is all the green fence there. I don't know if you can see that behind me. That's usually where I cycle. I guess I'm gonna have to go find a different way here. Hey, no problem. We can do this. So yes, and that is just something I find bizarre. I'm thinking I'm using the same settings. Just because it's the operating system that's different, that can't really be the solution. But it appears to be. It's either that, or it could also be something at Mixamo's end that just sometimes doesn't work. Possible. It is a total mystery, and of course there's zero official documentation, because officially, and I think that's what we must always remember, it's not supposed to work. We can probably make it work, but really, no one makes any money by me downloading the free DAZ Studio, taking a free character, putting it into the free Mixamo, and then I'm taking it back and making a free animation, or I'm going to put it into Unity, I'm making a free game. No one makes any money with that. So I think that's probably why no one's really made sure there's a pipeline that is actually working. Or it may be because FBX at the core just sucks. It is probably one of the worst file formats ever. It's a great idea, but I don't think it's one of those things that I don't think it has ever worked for me in any situation. Much like Collada, it's the same total waste of time, that format. I mean, for what I'm doing, I'm a total hobbyist, blindly tapping in the dark with zero knowledge of anything, and that's kind of probably adds to the issue there. Don't know. Just my quick thoughts for the day. Actually, one other thing that is, and I've tried that this morning as well, also didn't work. It's that some people were saying go back to Genesis 1 and grab Genesis 1, export him from DAZ Studio, upload him to Mixamo, and then download that FBX, save it as a pose in DAZ Studio, and then get rid of it, get rid of the character, load in Genesis 3, and just apply that pose, and the animation will work. So that's also an interesting idea. Sadly, it doesn't work, of course, but it also doesn't take into consideration the dimensions of the character. So sometimes if you have one that has kind of wider hips, you can, in Mixamo itself, you can adjust the arms that they're a little bit further away from the body so that they don't dig into it, and you can basically adjust that right there and then. And of course, if you don't see the actual character, then it's difficult to make such adjustments. But that is another avenue to try. But as I said, it didn't work for me this morning. The mouse worked, and that may well be the final ever project I was able to do there. Yeah. There is always the option to strip the skeleton out altogether and get rid of that completely and basically import an OBJ of your character into Mixamo and have Mixamo rig this thing for you. That's another option. But of course then the skeleton is completely different, and you need to use exactly what Mixamo gives you for the animation, and that may not be exactly what we need either there, because then we're dealing with lack of textures and we're dealing with lack of smoothing modifiers and all that. So this isn't really not what we want. This may be a workflow, however, if DAZ Studio is not your final destination. If you wanted to take the character, put it into Mixamo, and then take this whole animation and use it in something like Unity or in Unreal, that is a possibility then, so that you just take that whole newly rigged figure with or without clothing. I haven't even tried clothing yet, but that is a possibility that we just go and do that if DAZ isn't the final destination. But in my case, I was going to make it that, and you know, with a mouse I was successful, but with everything else I seem to try, I'm not. So as I said, 9 times out of 10 I'm not. So there we go. But with persistence, and I suppose that's why that's my point of this video, I guess, with persistence and with collaborative thoughts and input, maybe one day we'll be able to make that happen. There's also the other thing, of course, that makes this really difficult is that software changes all the time. I mean, on one hand, there's things like DAZ Studio. It could even be that perhaps I should go back to DAZ Studio 4.10 for this and just see if that works any better. Or the thing with Mixamo is we don't really know what changes they make at their end, or what breaks at their end, what works at their end. This is all completely closed black box there. So yeah, I guess my point is it's difficult, it costs a lot of time, and there's not a lot to show for it either, which is a shame. But with persistence, I guess maybe one day we'll be able to make it work. Who knows? Let's keep trying. Let's keep trying.